Oh, hi, how's it going? So I realized while I've reviewed a lot of things over the years, I've never really reviewed practice swords much. So I want to tell you which of these are my favorites. That's why I've rearranged the wall. So this is all the practice swords I currently have. Maybe I forgot something somewhere, but at least steel swords. Should be all of them. And for the impatient, I'm going to show you my favorites right away and then talk about the others as well. All right, so not technically a sword, but still relevant. This parrying dagger from Darkwood Armory is fantastic. It was a gift from a subscriber in 2018, I believe, before a tournament where I ended up using this in rapier and dagger matches. And everything about this I love. You know, the looks, the handling, durability, everything really. You know, craftsmanship overall is outstanding. Also check out how tight the fit is. There's no gap at all. Really nice work overall, and the blade has held up very well. The blunt edges are rounded, and you can hardly see any wear. I mean, not that there is that much force involved in rapier and dagger, but still. The blued finish is awesome and has held up better than I expected. You know, very nice protective guard. Upswept quillons are quite useful for trapping blades, even down to these little cutouts here. You know, it's not going to make much of a difference, but it can help, potentially, can help prevent a blade from slipping out once you've caught it here. The burlwood handle is super nice. Definitely one of those premium options that, you know, you have to pay extra for, but it is kind of worth it. It looks excellent. Right, and the pommel here, Senstopper pommel, is my favorite. It's threaded, but it's done really well. In other words, you know what that means. The blade is quite stiff overall, but flexible enough in the upper third to be safe. You can see that's where it mostly flexes, whereas the bottom stays straight, and this is exactly what you want. You want the strong of the blade to be nice and rigid, so you have, you know, a good solid structure there while parrying. As you would expect, the balance is quite low, remarkably so in this case. It is below the quillons. It's kind of hard to balance it without touching the guard. There we go. And a lot of it is in the pommel. I can tell this is quite a hefty pommel, so that actually counterbalances. So that makes it super quick to respond for defensive actions. Like any opening that you might have to guard, it's immediately just jumps there. So yeah, quite easy to recommend that one. My pick for favorite single-handed sword may be surprising because I usually prefer later options with complex hilts, but the way this one handles and the quality is just too good. And so this is made by, I'm just gonna call him Viktor B, because I don't know how to pronounce his name. The handling, like balance and weight and everything, pommel shape, etc. Excellent. And normally I don't even like this style of handle wrap with the broad leather strip. I generally prefer if it's a single piece of leather bound by cord while drying. But I can't complain about this one. It has held up perfectly. There's hardly any wear, even though I've used it quite a bit, as you can probably see by the blade. You know, the blade itself has plenty of signs of use, but the handle, hardly anything. Hasn't loosened up. I guess the guard in particular tells you how much it's been used. There's the maker's mark. This one here, you can see the tang is peened over the pommel. There's the fit. You can see a little bit of a gap, but nothing concerning. Nice wheel pommel, is quite comfortable. Comfort matters a lot less, of course, for practice swords, because generally you're going to be wearing gloves / gauntlets, so you don't really notice it that much. But still, the shape of the pommel matters either way. It also gives you enough space to fit a gauntlet without being excessively long. It's got the rolled tip, which not everyone likes. Some folks prefer spatulated tips, but it's done well. The balance is great, and handling overall, I just can't praise enough. This feels so lively in the hand. It almost feels like a later sword in terms of the tip control that you get is really quite good. And obviously, with that blade shape, it is quite good for thrusting. So you can move it very quickly and easily. Handles really nicely. And the flexibility is also quite good. As you can see, plenty of flex to it, so thrusting is safe, but without it feeling flimsy. And the profile taper makes it so that it doesn't hit overly hard, while still having the right kind of look. Sometimes practice swords are made with excessively narrow blades in an attempt to make them safer, and then they look wrong. We'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, no complaint about this one. Especially considering how affordable it was, at least all those years ago when I bought it. I don't know what it costs now, but the quality might have also improved since then. My favorite two-handed practice sword is this Ensifer, even though I normally prefer conventional designs over this feather type, like for example, that Albion there with a full-size blade. The shield can be useful for sure. Sometimes it will protect your hands. I just don't like the idea of relying on that, and the narrower blades don't look as good, but it works very well. The scent stopper pommel is quite simple, but I mean, you don't need a practice sword to be fancy. Just gonna get damaged and worn anyway, and it's nice and smooth. The guard here, I do like the shape and the way it flares out, and it's slightly curved. Looks a little bit better than a plain straight guard, in my opinion. The cord wrap is simple, but looks decent and works very well. You can see some signs of wear, but no problem at all. Feels very good. And the naked hand with gloves, of course, no problem. It's long enough to accommodate bulkier gauntlets without being excessively long. And the blunt edge is also rounded. The grind lines look pretty crisp, and overall nothing wrong with the blade. You can definitely see how much this has been used, right? And has held up very well. As far as the fit goes, could be a little tighter, I suppose, but I'm not worried about it. There's no rattle, and the peen pommel has held up without a problem. As you might guess, the balance is right on top of the shield. You've got really good point control. It's nice and quick. I can't swing this in here too much due to lack of space, but yeah, it handles beautifully. Well, I don't want to make the video terribly long, so I'm just going to talk about a few of the others, not every single one. This one here almost took my favorite spot for single-handed sword, the Castille basket-hilt economy sword. There's really only one thing that I don't like about it, which is it's too light. There is such a thing. I mean, it's not supposed to be a Highland narrow sword now, is it? Now, it is nice that you can be very quick with this. And because of how light it is, it's not fatiguing at all. You can respond quickly and all of that. But it also has less blade presence. So in a bind, sometimes it can be overpowered by a heftier blade. And I mean, you can tell that it is economy. The flat top is a bit ugly. Like, it is very simple, but super tight fit. That's nice. It's very well made. It's just, this is designed to cut down on the price, which it does. And protection is great. It's a threaded pommel, so you can retighten it. The nice thing is you don't even need anything specific. Like, this hole is just there to stick something to, whether it be an Allen key or like really any kind of metal rod or whatever, to help turn the entire pommel. So you don't need a specific tool. Well made, it's got a very strong blade, excellent flex. A lot to like about it, just doesn't look great, and the blade is just too narrow for my taste. So in hindsight, I feel like I should have spent a little more money on a different one with a broader blade, but I still like it. It's still good to practice with. This Albion practice messer also had a high potential for favorite sword because it is extremely well made. The blade has this nice, really broad fuller. The point is safe with how round it is, but it seems a bit rude to thrust with it because that definitely hurts. But again, it is safe. Like the blade has a good amount of flex, and the edge, I mean, it's Albion. I don't really have to say much. It's well made, obviously, and looks nice too. It's got a little bit of detail that you don't see on a lot of practice swords. The only thing I don't like about it is the grip. Even with gauntlets, it doesn't feel great because it's very blocky. You'll probably see that. And they're like, yeah, the corners are somewhat rounded, but overall, it's mostly just a rectangle. And it's not even particularly wide. It feels kind of square-ish in the hand, almost. So even with gloves, so that's not great. Otherwise, this would have probably taken the favorite spot. Because in terms of handling and looks and everything, this is great. This handles almost better than the arming sword. Not quite. This has more blade presence, so this is definitely more fatiguing. And when you're fighting a lighter blade, you can be at a bit of a disadvantage. But, I mean, it's a messer. It's supposed to be fairly hefty for powerful cuts. The blade of this katana is also quite well made, and the handling is great. But there is one thing that bothers me about it. Now, I went for the ruggedization option because otherwise it's going to be worn out quite a bit. You know, you would have to probably redo the handle wrap after a while, things like that. But the way it's done, it ain't pretty. You know, it's just blobs of glue, and it did strengthen the wrap quite a bit, which is good. But even though I went for that option, I'm quite disappointed by how this is coming off, you know, in spite of the ruggedization. So durability on this ain't great. With the Albion Liechtenauer, of course, quality is not a concern. And I said I prefer this kind of conventional full-size blade and all that, even though I like curved quill-ons more than straight ones. The pommel is really nice, very well shaped. And I mean, again, the crossguard has some little details here. The edge is very good. The blade is extremely durable. I've noticed that this will chew up lesser practice blades whose steel is not as hard. Whereas this is, I mean, there's just hardly anything. It's just that it doesn't handle quite as well. You know, it's fine, it's not a problem, it's not heavy or clunky or anything. It just doesn't feel quite as good as the Ensifer. None of the others are bad. If they were, I wouldn't have them anymore. There are just a few things that make them less preferable to me. Like, for example, the Pappenheimer rapier up there is a bit clunky. You know, like whenever we've compared rapiers in HEMA class, this was always the heaviest one. I only brought it to one tournament before I decided, nah, this is a bit much. I felt that it was at a disadvantage against lighter rapiers. Anyway, hope you found this helpful. The links to where you can find these are in the description below. It's mostly Purple Heart Armory, which is an affiliate link, by the way. I get a small percentage in kickback, not paid out, but in-store credit, so I can order more HEMA gear from Purple Heart Armory. Anyway, thanks for watching, and fence on, I guess.